Welcome to Healers Talk Healing, the podcast from Miracle's Ultimate Wellness Resources. I'm Lynne Herod-DeVerges.
And I'm Nina Ganguli.
Each episode brings you inspiring conversations, practical wisdom, and fresh perspectives on healing and personal transformation.
Our goal is simple: to help you learn, experience, and connect in ways that support your unique journey.
Thank you for being here.
And let's dive into today's conversation.
Continue the conversation.
So welcome. See, we decided, Lynn was very smart. She started recording in the midst of my own profound thought. Yeah, I'm just saying it's profound. For me, it was, which, yes, we're going to get back to. But one of the things we want to talk about quickly today is yesterday's. For us, it was yesterday while we're recording. So it was Sundays on Father's Day. We hosted a wonderful workshop with Dr. Emmett Miller. We had so many people on. It was so exciting, to have all of those people come on and, have this wonderful conversation. And I thought, of course, we want you to sign up for the next one that's coming up on July the 19th with Renee Green, and we'll talk more about that, and you'll get more information about that. But just to give you a little bit of our takeaways from the conversation, if you have been listening to the past three episodes, there were conversations with Dr. Miller. He went so much deeper in the workshop. And I just wanted to share one of the things that I walked away with is it solidified for me that how much stress impacts our well-being, head to toe, inside, outside, the energetic flows, like all of it, compiled with the conversations that we've had also with Chris and our upcoming conversations. It seems like the underlying issue is stress.
Yes.
And there are so many different ways that we can address stress. And I just loved the way that Dr. Miller presented it and the way he, has stories. And it's so easy to understand more when you bring the conversation outside of just science and into real life. And that's really what I loved about the conversation. And if you missed it, if you're listening to us thinking, damn, I missed it, where do I find it? Well, unfortunately, right now, we don't have it available for everyone. It will be on a replay for those who attended and registered. But watch out, because we are planning something special coming up, probably more towards the end of the year, maybe around Black Friday, hint, hint.
Yes, Black Friday and pre-Christmas. Yes,
pre-Christmas. There we'll be having something for you. But if you want to get into the conversation, I'm already starting the plug. Honestly, if you want to get into the conversation, we invite you to join our Wellness Seekers community. It's a place where you can begin to see the different things that I'm going to say different things that we talk about, but more like we get to talk to our healing heroes. We had a great conversation last week. We had our very first, I'm going to say general meeting or general coming together of seekers. And we had great conversations with Chris Pizzarello, who is one of our healing heroes, and you've seen or heard his podcast episodes. And I learned so much in that little bit amount of time, because even though we've talked about this before, Lynn, while we are healers, we're also always seeking.
Yes. Healers do seek.
Yeah, we do.
We never rest in one place. It's like, okay, got that, practiced that, mastered that. Okay. And then what? And then what? But that's what growth is about too.
Yeah. And the journey, it's not ending. And I was just speaking to my therapist. I have a therapist, and I was telling her, just like, are we go every time I think I've healed something, I'm gonna say quote unquote healed something, there's like another layer there and another layer there. And I'm not always using the same modality to help me through that layer.
Right.
So, this time I'm working with someone who does a lot of energetic release, does talk therapy and energetic release. And it's been interesting, certainly a different process. But I have been rambling. I don't want to lose sight of our conversation. And I would love to hear from you, Lynn. What was your biggest takeaway from the last workshop?
A lot of what you mentioned, my
Mm,
biggest takeaway, what I appreciated and was so grateful for, is that the information provided is information that he was able to give us through storytelling.
mm,
So you're right. It wasn't just, science and facts, and this is how the, primordial brain works, and this is how the monkey brain works, and the amygdala, and what happens, and so on and so forth. Because he is a doctor, he's
mhm,
also a researcher. He's truly what I consider to be a man who has mastered so many aspects of science, scientific exploration, and so forth. So
mm,
he could have really gone into the weeds with it, but he made it so understandable utilizing his stories. And those stories were amusing, they were moving, they were insightful, they had everything you could possibly want as a way to connect with what he was saying in terms of how stress affects our nervous system, how our brain ties into that, the whole level of stress in what you were saying. And it wasn't in a way that sounded woo woo, because often when people discuss stress, they will utilize or go to or think of all of the woo woo ways in which it needs to happen, to change, to make
mhm,
changes. And he said very clearly during that workshop that this is not something that is imaginary, made up. And I think he may have even used the word woo woo. He said, this is science. And then he just really broke it down. So I so appreciated that. That was one aspect, but the other one was the exercise itself.
mm,
He truly is so gifted in the way that he guides people through an exercise that is really calming and puts the nervous system at ease. So there is no fight or flight that's happening at the end of that process.
mm.
And it helps you to be very present when it's over at that moment in time. So I like that aspect of the workshop as well, not to mention the fact he has a very lovely speaking voice.
Yes, it
If he
does.
wasn't a doctor, he could definitely have a day job as an announcer or something
Yeah,
like that, because his speaking voice is really beautiful. Hmm.
it is. And I will invite our listeners, those who perhaps didn't get a chance to register for the workshop and don't want to wait until Black Friday for what we have in store, to go back and listen to the podcast. I think it's the second one in the series with Dr. Miller, where he does also give us a chance to experience that type of meditation in his voice. And also check him out on the directory if you want to know more about his information. And all of what he has available for you is also
Yeah.
listed. It's being listed on our products directory as well. There's a lot of things that he has.
Hmm.
And with that, I will seamlessly move on to what we started
May,
talking
may I
about.
may I just add one more thing?
Of
When you
course.
do go to the website miraclesdirectory.com, we have a tab that says Connect. And when you
Mm,
click on Connect, the drop-down menu is Services Listing and Products Listing. You'll be able to find Dr. Emmett Miller on either one. And he also does private sessions. So I did want to put that little plug in there because he is quite extraordinary.
yes, phenomenal. And we want to round back up to this word of woo woo and how it came up. And it was interesting. So I had some people over on the weekend, and I was talking to one of my friends, and she was just sharing some things that she was going through and giving an example of another friend that's going through things. And she was saying, she's so calm and things are so it looks like life is she can just take life one step at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
I could tell she's being a little hesitant in how her friend was, what her friend had taken on. And she kind of just said, like Akashic Records. And it was kind of like a whisper that came out, like it was a bad word or something. And I said, and I said to her, girl, I get it, woo-woo stuff, right? And she's like, yeah, woo-woo stuff. And her whole body language changed. I said, you need to go down to my office and look at the woo-woo stuff I have there, all my oracle cards, my crystals, my altar, all the things that I use to help me and help my clients. She's like, so you get it? And I said, yeah. But then when we were talking earlier today, Lynn, we both came to the conclusion that when we don't know how to explain something outside, like inside of spirituality, outside of like the religious context, we
Yes,
right outside of the
the
different religious
religious
aspects
context. Yes.
and the dogma associated with it. And there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable inside of that dogma. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that do, and there's no judgment here, but then we don't know how to have the conversation
Mm-hmm.
around it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people will say to me, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And
Right.
then you see they start getting a little uncomfortable about talking about that because they don't know how to talk about it. And then we just use the word woo woo, and it kind of just opens up the conversation.
Exactly. Exactly. Also, sometimes it can be uncomfortable if you don't know what another person's beliefs are or practices or what they engage in. And it's like, ooh, I don't want to speak to someone who is so dogmatic in
Mm-hmm.
their particular way of practicing spirituality, because even religions are spiritual
Mm-hmm.
and base in nature. They are. It's just the way in which one chooses to engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's like testing the waters. Akashic Records? And it's like, oh, you mean woo woo? Oh, okay. She understands what I'm talking about. That's great. Okay, we got it. We got it. It works. And my sister uses that word all the time. She's like, I don't want to get too woo woo. And I'm just like, girl, stop. Do you not know who I am and what I do? So you don't have to act like it's, like I'm going to think it's weird, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not really. Woo woo is a terminology, as you said, Nina, so well, that really means we don't know how to describe it. It really
Mm.
refers to those aspects that we do not plug into from the three-dimensional perspective. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, we don't see it with our physical eyes. We don't necessarily hear it with our physical ears. We don't, like literally taste it or
Mm-hmm.
take a whiff of it or what have you. These are aspects and things that go beyond the three-dimensional physical aspects. And so when you're referring to that, which actually I'm just going to tie this in a little bit, the when science looks at and has been examining DNA for, millennium, they're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, there's 10% junk DNA. And that junk DNA, we don't quite know what it is, but it's seems to play some kind of part. But because we don't know what it is, we'll just tuck it over there. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that junk DNA is where we are able to connect so we can see without our physical eyes.
Mm.
We are able to hear without necessarily having the physicalness of the, sounds.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to experience feelings vibrationally, but we still assume that feelings are associated with the body, which they're absolutely not. Okay, but that's how we've been trained, brought up, um, been believing, right? So, woo woo really is part of our junk DNA that taps into intuitiveness,
Mm-hmm.
that taps into the opening and awakening actually of the mind. The mind is not the brain is a physical matter, but the mind is able to encompass all things in the universe.
Mm.
And we receive that sometimes through our brain, sometimes through our feelings, sometimes, in other ways. So, really, that's what woo woo is. And so, to connect to practices like energetic healing work, hypnotherapy, although hypnotherapy has been defined much more as the mental, so we can
Mm-hmm.
understand it from the brain, what the brain does, and all of that. There are so many other things, such as constellation healing, which goes back generations within our family morphic field. Uh, and you're all probably at this moment going cross-eyed, saying, "What the heck is she talking about?" Yes, that would fall into the woo-woo. And if you want to
Mm-hmm.
learn more about that, we will be looking at deeper things in reference to that, and all sorts of things. The bottom line is, when it comes to wellness, the woo-woo that lies within our junk DNA that also has us making choices and craving to tap into that part of ourself, that's also an aspect of wellness. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the whole thing because it's always physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we use the word spirituality too in exchange for, I don't necessarily do all the conventional things that we do in reference to the body that may not even be understood, but I still believe in and have experienced and am fully in the health of the healing or the health aspect,
Mm-hmm.
wellness aspect of spirituality. So we do include and encompass all of those things.
Yeah. So those of you who are listening or trying to figure out how do I explain this to maybe even to yourself, but to others and to yourself, like I, I'm surrounded, excuse me, my family members specifically, who are more like, okay, whatever. A little bit of a roll of the eye, a little like poke of fun. It's like, oh, so you're gonna go to your cards? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to my cards. Yes, I have this. Yes. But I also have a support system outside of that. If you are someone who's also in the same position I am, meaning the people that are closest to you are not in the same place that you are when it comes to your journey of
Mhm.
spirituality, your journey of healing, your journey of wellness, because it's all individual. That's
Mhm.
why you really do need to find a community of people who are of the same mind. You're not, your journey does, you don't have to be in the same place on the journey, but
Right.
at least in the same, like, we're all on the yellow brick road. We just could be different places on the yellow brick road to Oz. And so it's kind of cool to have a place to go to. And that's why we did create the Wellness Seekers community for specifically for that. And we include both the practitioners and our seekers so that there can be an exchange of conversation so you don't feel alone. And
Right.
if you have questions, those questions can be answered. And if there's not someone on or someone there in the community to answer immediately, we take it. Trust me, Lynn and I take it and run with it, and try to ensure that there's someone that can answer or put you in the direction of an answer, because we understand it can feel so lonely, it can feel scary,
Yes.
uncomfortable, especially when you're starting the journey. And I've been on this journey since 2012, and I still have questions, and I still get uncomfortable, and I'm still, afraid to say, oh yeah, I can channel this, or I can do this, or I can do that. The other day I was with a group of friends, and we had this great session where there was some channeling, there was some readings, a lot of things happened. And then the next day, or maybe it was that same evening, my husband said to me, so what did you girls do? And I was like, okay, then you asked.
Here it is.
Here it is. But I at first didn't want to answer the question. I didn't want, in fear of judgment, first of all, which
Mhm.
is that just be my own thing.
No, it's a thing for a lot of people who choose to do alternatives. Hmm.
Yes. So there was that. I actually honestly said, you don't necessarily believe in all of these things. Like, are the answers that I'm going to give you satisfying to you? So I said, I literally said, okay, this came through this, there was, we use the dowsing rods, and then we use the pendulums, and then we even use the spirit board, or what people know as a Ouija board. And some channeling came through, and I got messages from my father. And then, Yeshua consciousness showed up, and he was just like, at one point, he's like, okay, so, you know,
TMI.
you asked, right? But and that's why I was a little leery, because I was wondering, is he really interested, or was it like a rhetorical question, what you guys do? But I really don't want to know.
He
And
wants to know. He just doesn't understand what he's hearing.
exactly. And so, you know, sometimes, to be honest, I don't have the patience. I also don't have the patience to sit and explain, like, how do you explain that you just channeled Jesus consciousness? How do you explain that to somebody?
Okay. So, so, um, it- there's not always a definition or explanation for it, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
But there are ways to reference it. And this is where I loved what Dr. Miller did during his workshop, because he always
Mhm.
had a story attached to it that people could relate to. But in answer to your question, as you said this, my brain always thinks of there's a question, there's a solution or answer. And so
Mhm.
I just open up and channel whatever answer comes through. Just so you all know. If you hadn't noticed, that's how I work. This is how Nina works. This is how we come together. In any event, so how do you explain to someone that you just channeled Christ? One of the most popular ways, I think, is to say, well, Jesus, Jesus, Yeshua. Well, Yeshua was his name, which, anyway, I won't go into all that, but was a being of flesh and blood, of this three-dimensional world. And Christ is full on a light energy that is a spirit that Jesus embodied.
Mm.
And that light energy or spirit at the time of Jesus's transition left the embodiment of Jesus and became even larger in enveloping an energetic way, everything's energy, the entire planet, so that every one of us can actually embody and channel aspects of that Christ energy and receive a lot of answers and be comforted and know what the next step is to do, to be guided, all of those different things.
Mm.
Because it's also
Yeah.
connected to our junk DNA.
Our junk DNA. And part of this conversation around woo-woo is interesting because it's not like if you look at quantum physics and you
Right.
begin to understand quantum physics, that is, for me, I'm just going to say, for me, is woo-woo.
For many people, it's woo-woo. Oh,
Quantum physics is science.
it's absolutely science. Sacred geometry.
Mm.
Some people may have heard of sacred geometry, not knowing really what it is. Some people may think that sacred geometry is something that's woo-woo, but sacred geometry is the math with science birthing a baby.
Mm.
That's sacred geometry. And it truly is the language as we know it of the universe. But it go of not just this universe, not just this galaxy, but of multitudes of universes, solar systems, and galaxies infinitely. And we know and have a certain aspect of that, which, gets into quantum physics, because there is a part of sacred geometry that quantum physics, they fit together.
Mm-hmm.
And so our awareness and our knowledge is probably at maybe a second grade level. We've gone past 1 plus 1 is 2. We haven't quite figured out that 1 times 1, or 1 times 2 is 2, or 1 times 1 is 1. But that's kind of the second grade, starting to move into that. And we're just at the tip of the iceberg. So we call it woo woo.
Mm.
But if you go beyond that and you look at people like Einstein
Mm-hmm.
and others who were so tapped in and turned on to that level, that depth of languaging and awareness, who actually helped bridge the gap so we could understand it in our third dimensional, kind of very primal way, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are still,
Yep.
right? We're getting glimpses of it. Now, of course, we're evolving in our collective. So every single person on the planet, every spirit that has ever had a body, other life form energies, I'll just put it
Mm-hmm.
that way, collectively continue to grow and grow and grow. So, this is what we've been doing. So, we've come into a clearer awareness of sacred geometry, quantum physics, and those kinds of things. And so, for people who say that also it's all the woo woo, I invite them to go, okay, we have Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, all kind of other AI. Start looking stuff up. And then
Mm-hmm.
when they say, would you like to know about this? Yes, go down the rabbit hole. Just
Yeah,
go
go
down
down
the
the
rabbit
rabbit
hole.
hole and
You
then
know?
come into the group and talk to us about the rabbit hole because we
Yes.
love talking about the rabbit hole.
Yes,
We
we
also
do.
love talking about the science. It's
Yes.
not a one-faceted, one-dimensional
Right.
conversation.
That's
You know,
right.
Lynn and I know all we are is we're inside of this conversation. And it
Hmm.
couldn't just be two of us out of 8 billion people in the world that are
Yeah, right.
inside this conversation of, well, here's the science, but here's the woo woo and what about this and what about, and I am so blessed that at any given time I can pick up the phone and be like, Lynn, this is happening in my life. What is going on? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Like I went to I went to a wellness center last week, remember? And I said, this is what this person saw. And basically someone told me that they saw a spirit or an entity or a spirit of a woman attached to, like, speaking to me behind me. They explained what she looked like. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. So I was like, you're new to me. So now I'm going to go to Lynn, who I'm comfortable with. I'm like, is there something attached to me? Because if there is, I got to do the work to make sure that that's not happening. And not everyone has that, but we want everyone to have that.
Mm-hmm.
We want everyone to have that. Like, I'm just, there's something that I want to talk about. I want to ask questions, and to have
Yes.
those questions answered, or even something else to think about.
Or at least explored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Explore together. Like you just said, hey, you know what? You have access to all this knowledge and all this information.
Mm-hmm.
Use it. It
Mm-hmm.
is there. Like, yes, maybe some people feel afraid of AI, but it's there to provide knowledge and information if you use it in the way that will serve and support you. And then you come and have some human conversations.
Absolutely, absolutely. And quite honestly, as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, often if there's something that I don't have clarity about, or I don't understand what the words are, or what have you, I'll pause and go, okay, let me look up such and such and
Mm-hmm.
such. And what do they do? Like subatomic particles. Well, most people have learned that in science. Well, I assume, but not everybody's learned about subatomic particles in their science class. And
Or
if they did,
remembers.
or remembers, and exactly. But when it's brought up in a sentence and references something you're looking at, or a quantum field that you're not sure about, maybe you never heard it, maybe you didn't learn it in science, maybe you just know the word, but you don't know what it means, look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And,
A
then,
hundred
and that's what
percent.
I mean by like going down the rabbit hole, right? To begin to gain more and more information and knowledge. And the more you gain, the more you're going to have questions. Write your questions down, and then let's have a conversation about it. And
Mm-hmm.
we can all explore together. And that's also part of what we do here at Miracles. We come together. Everyone, everyone has input. The teachers are the students, and the students are the teachers. And we all learn from one another. We all come together. We all share what's working for us, what may not be working for us in different ways. And all of it is accepted, it is respected,
Mm-hmm.
it is inclusive, because that's who we are on a whole. Our Miracles Wellness membership is about everyone having a voice and inclusivity and being able to share with one another so that we all grow. Now, as we keep doing that, what do? Ooh, I sound like not Roger Rabbit. Never mind. All
Elmer
right.
Fudd.
Anyway, Elmer Fudd, thank you. And I was with the Bugs Bunny. Elmer Fudd, yes, thank you. In any event, we come together and we raise our level of awareness, because we
Mm-hmm.
also raise our knowledge base, because we also keep asking questions that go beyond us. And so that means we start tapping into the energy on the planet. Yes, most Christians say Christ energy, and there is Christ energy, but there's also Buddha energy, and there are
Mm-hmm.
so many other energies from beautiful light beings that surround the planet. And so we tap into all of that, and we keep growing and elevating and growing and elevating, and we go to higher and higher levels. And this is how we bring light collectively to the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll get off my little so
I think that's the
but
perfect place for us to round up our
what we
conversation
do.
today. I think, you and I are so blessed, and we just want everyone to
Yes.
feel that blessing, that connectedness, experiencing and learning all the things that we do here at Miracles Ultimate Wellness Resources. We invite you into our conversations through the podcast. But if you want to be with us live, hop onto our site, check out our events. We have so much. We do. We have a lot
We
that
have a
we
lot we
do
offer.
on a monthly basis. And just step in, go start with our rabbit hole. Start with our rabbit hole and continue to learn and grow. And we're so excited to be able to provide this platform for you, for ourselves too. Some of it is selfish, a lot of it is not, but join in, go to the website. If you're feeling a little nervous, put in some comments, go to our contact form, send us your questions. We are here to answer them and to support you. And with that, I think we will say bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye for now, everyone.
Have a blessed day. Thank you for spending this time with us.
We hope today's conversation gave you something to reflect on, explore, or carry forward on your journey.
Remember, healing looks different for everyone,
but none of us have to do it alone.
If today's conversation resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, share it with someone who needs it.
We'll see you next time on Healers Talk Healing.